There are moments in life that don't look important while they're happening. No music, no dramatic pause, no warning. Just a small decision, made quietly. This is the story of how one simple choice changed a man's life forever. Not overnight, not magically, but permanently. Ethan Cole was 34 years old when he realized he had been living on autopilot. Not unhappy, just empty. Every morning followed the same pattern. The alarm rang at 6:10 a.m. He stared at the ceiling for exactly 30 seconds. Then he got up, shower, coffee, phone scrolling. By 7:05, he was out the door. Ethan worked as an analyst at a mid-sized firm
Morning, Ethan.
downtown. The
Morning.
job paid well enough to survive, not well enough to feel free. But he
Report
told
by
himself
noon,
the same
Ethan.
thing every
Yes,
adult
understood.
told themselves. Stability matters. So he stayed. Years passed that way, quietly. Once Ethan wanted something else. Before bills, before expectations. He wanted to write stories, reflections,
I want to write
moments
stories.
that made
Stories that
people
make
feel
people feel something.
understood.
Writing
But
is
life
nice,
had
Ethan,
laughed at
but you
that
need
dream.
something realistic.
Teachers called it unrealistic. Friends called it risky. Family called it impractical. So Ethan did what responsible people do. He buried it, deep, and convinced himself it didn't matter. But buried dreams don't disappear. They wait. What Ethan didn't know was that the smallest decision of his life was coming, and it would force everything he'd buried back to the surface. The morning it happened, the city was soaked in rain. The heavy kind. The kind that dulls sound and slows time. Ethan stood at the subway entrance, hood pulled over his head. Same place, same routine. On his left, the stairs leading underground, warm, fast, familiar. On his right, a street-level path, longer, exposed, unpredictable. He checked his watch. 7:11 a.m. If he took the street, he'd be late. Ethan hated being late. But something strange happened. He didn't move.
That made no sense.
There was no
I'd taken
voice,
those stairs
no
thousands
vision,
of times.
just a feeling, a quiet resistance, a thought that didn't belong to logic. Don't take the stairs. Ethan frowned. It was ridiculous. He'd taken those stairs thousands of times. Why not today? Behind him, people brushed past, impatient. Someone sighed loudly. Ethan exhaled, then stepped to the right, onto the street. A simple decision. One step. Ethan had no idea that by choosing the longer path, he had just stepped out of danger. The walk felt unfamiliar. Not dangerous, just awake. Ethan noticed things he usually ignored. A cafe owner wiping rain off a chalkboard sign. A street musician humming while setting up his keyboard. A woman laughing under an umbrella. Completely unbothered by the storm. Life felt closer. Real. Then, a sound ripped through the air. A deep, violent groan. Metal screamed. Concrete cracked. The subway entrance behind him collapsed inward. People shouted. Sirens erupted. Ethan turned slowly, heart pounding. Smoke poured from the entrance. Emergency crews arrived within minutes. Later, the news would explain it calmly. A structural failure, poor inspection, bad timing. But standing there, soaked in rain, Ethan understood only one thing. If he had taken the stairs, he wouldn't be standing there. The rest of the day passed like a dream. Work emails felt meaningless. Meetings sounded distant. That night, Ethan sat on his bed in silence. He replayed the moment again and again. Not the collapse, the pause, the hesitation, the choice he almost ignored. And for the first time in years, he asked himself something dangerous. How many times had he ignored that feeling before? That question would change everything. Ethan opened his old laptop, the one he never used. Buried in forgotten folders were half-finished stories, drafts, fragments of a life he never lived. He opened one, then another. His chest tightened. Tears came without warning. Not sadness, regret. Because surviving that morning made something painfully clear. Life wasn't waiting for him. It never
What if that
was.
feeling hadn't just saved
Ethan
my
didn't
life?
sleep that
What if it had
night,
been trying to guide
not
me all
because he
along?
was
How many times
afraid,
had I ignored it?
but because a question kept repeating in his mind. What if that feeling hadn't just saved his life? What if it had been trying to guide his all along? He lay staring at the ceiling, listening to the rain against the window. For years he had ignored moments like that. Moments when something inside him whispered, "Slow down, don't do this, try something else." He had always chosen logic over instinct, safety over truth, and suddenly that choice felt heavier than it ever had before. The next few days felt different, not dramatic, just sharper.
Nothing had
Ethan
happened to my
noticed how
life.
quickly he said
I had
yes
slowly
to
chosen it.
things he didn't want, how often he stayed silent when
You
he
okay,
wanted to
man?
speak,
You've been quiet.
how his life had
Yeah,
become a
just
series
tired.
of small surrenders. He realized something uncomfortable. Nothing had happened to his life. He had slowly chosen it, one quiet compromise at a time. And just like that morning, the most dangerous choices weren't loud. They were familiar. That realization would lead Ethan to another decision, one that scared him far more than taking a different path to work. Ethan didn't quit his job. He didn't announce a transformation. He made another simple decision. He set his alarm 1 hour earlier. That was it. No grand plan. Just 1 hour. The first morning he sat at his desk, staring at a blank screen. Nothing came. The second morning, a sentence appeared. Then another. Some mornings he wrote nothing useful. Other mornings words poured out. Stories, memories, thoughts he had never said out loud. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. And for the first time in years, Ethan felt present. Doubt arrived quickly. Who did he think he was? A writer. He hadn't shared anything in years. Some mornings he almost stopped, almost chose sleep instead, almost chose comfort again. But then he remembered the rain, the pause, the feeling, and he kept going. Because this time, ignoring that voice felt more dangerous than listening to it. What happened next wasn't luck. It was the result of consistency in a direction Ethan had avoided his entire life. One night, without thinking too much, Ethan posted a short piece online. No expectations, no announcement, just words. He went to sleep immediately after. The next morning his phone buzzed. One comment, then another. Strangers, saying things like, "This felt like my life. I didn't know I needed this. Please keep writing." Ethan stared at the screen, heart racing, not because he was famous, but because he was finally understood. Success didn't erase fear. If anything, it amplified it. What if this was temporary? What if he failed publicly? What if he lost the stability he had built his life around? Ethan stood at another crossroads. Not physical, not physical, internal. Stay where he was, or lean further into uncertainty. Once again, a quiet feeling surfaced, not urgency, clarity. And once again, Ethan chose to listen. That decision didn't make life easier, but it made it real. A year passed. Ethan still worked, still struggled, still doubted himself. But he also wrote every day. His stories reached thousands, not because they were perfect, but because they were honest. One morning, Ethan walked past the rebuilt subway entrance. Stronger, reinforced. He stopped for a moment, watching people rush inside. He smiled softly, because he knew something they didn't. Life rarely changes in a single moment. It changes when you stop ignoring the small decisions that feel insignificant. The path you take, the voice you listen to, the moment you choose courage over comfort. Those are the decisions that shape everything. Ethan's life didn't change because of the collapse. It changed because he finally paid attention. If you're standing at a crossroads right now, between what's familiar and what feels right, listen closely. The decision that changes your life forever won't arrive with certainty. It will arrive quietly, like a whisper, and whether you listen is up to you.
If this story moved you, the next one will change how you see your own choices. Subscribe to be the first to get our updates.